Hello, I'm NES Cardinality, and this is my GDQ submission for Dragon Warrior. This new route revolves around our newly discovered ability to control the RNG and the flow of RNG as we progress forward. And I'm going to explain the process and how it works as I go. Basically, whenever you're sitting still doing nothing, the RNG cycles forward one value on every single frame. But when you're walking, it only cycles forward one frame or one value per step. And every time you take a step, the game locks your input for 16 frames. So this allows us to control the way the RNG flows as long as we do the exact same inputs every time. So what's going to happen here is, after we pick up our first 3 treasure chests, we're going to save and reset. And what happens is, the game, when we save and reset and restart the game calculates the RNG checksum, which is the initial seed value for the RNG. And it's always going to be the same as long as our experience, gold, items, and level are exactly the same. And I can tell that I cleared the king's text box on the right frame by the way the guard in the throne room moves, because his movement is governed by the exact same RNG that governs everything else. So the way I map out this path is, I save and reset, I clear the text box on the right frame, and then I go out walking without stopping, until I find the first encounter. I mark which square it's on, then I reset, do the exact same thing, come back, and before that square, I stop for a quarter of a second, and the RNG cycles forward 16 frames. And then when I step on that square, the battle's no longer there, and I can progress forward. So then I walk to the second square with a battle, and I repeat the process until I have a long enough chain to walk anywhere I want. In this case, we're walking to a zone that has metal slimes. And we're going to hold the B button here and command buffer our way into an excellent move that guarantees us a kill on our first metal slime. What we need to do here is kill 4 metal slimes to get to level 7. That's when we learn the sleep spell, so it's the minimum level required. Or it's the first level that it's possible to actually beat the game at. Now every time we clear a text box after a battle, the odds are 50-50 that we'll have one result or the other. That's just sort of how the RNG works in this game. So we're either going to get a knight or a Magiwyvern here, but the important thing is that we act first against both of them. Because if the knight attacked us first, it would just kill us. So I manipulate my way into a run, and then I wait there until I've set up the RNG in such a way that our second battle is also a metal slime. And here I do another manipulation to guarantee we get an excellent move. That was an arrow manipulation. I was just holding the D-pad in a direction where the arrow can't move in the menu, and that just locks the input for 16 frames. Here we're looking for a Wraith Knight or a Knight. And we're gonna wait, set up our next metal slime. There he is. Now we're gonna do 2 command buffers here, and then some arrow manipulation, and we aim for our excellent move. We've got our 3rd kill. Finally, we have to wait a little bit here. And we're going to get either a Wraith Knight or a Knight. If we get a Knight, he's going to cast Stop Spell on us. Oh, we did get the Knight. And a little short wait there. And there's our 4th metal slime. So once again, 2 command buffers and a little arrow buffer. And just like that, we are at level 7 in the first 5 minutes of the game. Now that we've completed this section, we need to suicide and get back. So this Death Warp, the next step is to go east. We went west and south here, so the Death Warp helps us speed up the process. We're also going to save and reset here. And the game is going to calculate a new RNG checksum. So we do the same process, map out a path, and follow it. That's not the right frame. I can tell because the guard went left. We're looking for him to move right and then left, or stay still and move right. Go left, yeah, so this should be the right frame, if it's not a duplicate of some sort. No, it's good. I could tell by the way those NPCs moved. Alright. So we need some keys to beat this game, but we can't afford keys right now, so we're gonna go fight a gold man. We're gonna go to a zone that has gold men, we're gonna manipulate our way into a gold man fight, we're gonna put him to sleep so that he doesn't kill us. Remember, we just got the sleep spell getting to level 7. And we're gonna use that money to buy some keys. Now when I go through caves, I'm totally in the dark, and it's really difficult to do visual manipulations based on the sprite's movement, so I use the walls instead. Every time I bonk into a wall, it's exactly the same as if I had stopped for 16 frames. It advances the RNG forward 16 frames. So it has the same effect, and it's a lot easier to pull off when you're in the dark. So here's our gold man. We're going to manipulate a sleep so that it works. And then each of these manipulations, we have to make sure that the gold man actually stays asleep. So if we get a result where he wakes up, we just go to the next result. And that's it for the gold man. We're either going to get a warlock or a wolf here. We'll just run away. And now we're safely in Remulder. This is the town that has keys. Very convenient that there's a gold man, a zone where you can encounter gold men right outside. We also manipulated the gold man fight so that he actually gave us gold. The amount of gold that's given by an enemy is not determined until it's actually killed. And we had to get really in the upper range of what a gold man can give in order to get enough gold for 5 keys. And you only need 3 keys to beat the game, but we get these extra 2 keys for this reason. We're going to pop back into town, and we're going to use the 2 extra keys to get the wings that are in this chest. And it only takes about 20 seconds to do this, maybe a bit more. But if we didn't have these wings, it would take us 80 extra seconds at the end of the run to walk home from the final castle. So picking up these wings nets us a time save of somewhere around a minute. So we've done everything we have to in this section. Now, once again, all we need is a quick suicide, and there it is. So we've got our level, we've got our keys. Next we have to pick up our key items. We're going to start with Erdrick's token. Again, we have to clear... Oh, that probably wasn't it? No, that wasn't. But again, if I get it wrong, I can just reset and try again. The game calculates the same checksum for the RNG seed. And we got this one. Now this section is pretty straightforward. So this section, there's not much that needs to be said about it. It's pretty much the same as everything before. We're just going to be walking and dodging encounters. So this would be a perfect section for donations to be read. Just stopping here. There aren't really many encounters. I'm going to keep talking through it now because... just in case there's any additional information, but yeah, there's no need for me to be talking through this section in GDQ, so be a good section for donations to be read. We're going to stop here. Again, all this is mapped out ahead of time. Now there's a section of hills up here. The hills slow down your movement, so I'm going to take a longer pause here to make sure that I don't have to do any pause all the way through the hills. That's just a matter of safety. I don't want to worry about having to do different timings for my stops. So I just take a little bit of extra time to ensure that there are no stops through the hills. Now the beauty of this is we can walk through the swamp. The swamp's going to do damage to us. And if we had to walk one more step, it would kill us before we could get the token here. But because we still have health after we pick up the token, we can do the fastest possible suicide, and that's the reason we get the token now. Because the next thing we're going to get is Erdrick's armor, and when you're wearing Erdrick's armor, the swamp tiles don't actually do damage to you. So same thing, we've got the token, we're going to save and reset. And I got the frame clear there that I wanted. The left, right, down, left, left, up. That's just another way for me to prove that I'm on the right frame. So the next thing we want to get, the next key item, is Erdrick's armor. Technically, it's not necessary to beat the game, but it's going to be very helpful. What it's going to allow us to do is enter Sharlock, the final castle, without taking damage from damage barriers. And the damage barriers do so much damage, they would kill us. So technically, Erdrick's armor is necessary in order to complete this speedrun in the kind of time we want. We're going to stop here and here. Dodging all of our encounters. Alright. Erdrick's armor is in Hawksness, guarded by an Axe Knight. So we need to defeat the Axe Knight, and it's the same story as with the Goldman. If we couldn't put him to sleep, he would probably kill us. So we start with a sleep. And I'm doing an arrow manipulation here. And now, I discovered a few excellent moves here, which is really nice. On any given command, any given action, you only have a 1 in 32 chance of landing an excellent move. So the fact that I found 3 in rapid succession here is pretty remarkable. And one more hurt will finish him off, and that's the Axe Knight at level 7, with no weapon, no armor. Of course, now we search and we get Erdrick's armor. And now what we're going to do is, the Axe Knight is actually a permanent enemy on that tile. So we're going to walk back, and we're going to use him to give us the fastest suicide possible. And another section completed. Now normally I wouldn't save here because this next section is the only one we're not going to manipulate our way through, but the reason I save here is just for marathon safety. It is possible for us to die on the way to getting the Silver Harp, our next key item. So I just want to do a safety save there so that if something goes wrong, it's not run ending. If I didn't save, I would lose half my gold on a suicide or on a death. So that would make the RNG checksum different, and we wouldn't be able to do anything without additional preparation. Before we go for the Silver Harp, we're going to pick up the Stones of Sunlight here. And again, because this next section is not manipulated, I'm just going to be running from enemies. There isn't anything really that needs to be said about it, so this is another really good section for donations to be read. And it's a little over a minute long. If it goes badly, it can be over 2 minutes. And when I say badly, I mean like sometimes it takes us a while to suicide after picking up the Silver Harp. Because this is an unmanipulated section, we don't have a battle set up at the end for a suicide. So yeah, that's pretty much all that needs to be said about this section. So again, it's a great section for donations to be read. All I'm going to be doing is running from the random encounters I find here. The reason this section is unmanipulated, by the way, is that we have to open 2 doors and pick up the Stones of Sunlight, all on this split. And as I mentioned before, like every time you clear a text box, you only have a 50-50 chance of seeing one result versus another. So having to clear 3 text boxes would make things a little bit complicated, and I'm not convinced that if I did a manipulation that was reliable, that it would actually save time. So I've just left it the way it is for now. So as it stands, we just have to run from enemies on our way. We have a high probability of success running from everything except for a Wraith Knight, and the Wraith Knights are only on the last 3 floors, and those 3 floors are very short. So there's not too much danger in this section. As I say, in a marathon, I could be totally silent during this section while donations are read or whatever else, but I'm just talking through what's going on right now. This torch I picked up in the throne room at the beginning of the game, and we're finally using it just to make navigation through here easier. I could do it in the dark, but it would take longer because I would probably bonk into a couple walls here and there, and that would just spend extra time. So the silver harp is right in this room, not a long walk to get here. It's another one of the key items we need. And now that we have it, it would be a long walk to get out of here, so we're going to Suicide. Wraith Knight is the best enemy for Suicide, guaranteed to kill us within 3 attacks. Sometimes it'll get us in 2. It could get us in 2 here. Yes, it does. So that's good for speed. And again, now that we're done another section, we're going to save and reset. And work on another path that I've mapped out. He's going to go left. Oh, he didn't go left. That means we're on the wrong frame. Oops. Missed it there. So again, when I miss the frame, all I have to do is reset and try again. Go up. Yeah. That's not the one I want, is it? Oh! I was wrong! Down, up is... That was the right frame. I was wrong. Just have to make my note a little neater, evidently. So here, this NPC is going to move right. We just have to make sure we dodge. If we bonk into the NPC, that's going to cycle the RNG forward 16 frames, and we don't want that. So same idea here as usual, we're avoiding all encounters to walk wherever we want, and in this case we're going to go walk to get the Staff of Rain. Now this next part is one of the most challenging of the run. We're going to chain a few events together because with our location being what it is, it saves a lot of time to walk from the Staff of Rain, which we're going to get in here, to the Rainbow Drop, and then finally to Erdrick's Sword. And the fact that it's possible is kind of crazy, and it requires a lot of precise manipulations because we have to clear some text boxes. I'm going to take 2 extra steps here to avoid a potential metal scorpion, or sorry, scorpion or skeleton battle that I wouldn't want. We want either a ghost or a magician here. We got the ghost. Again, I've mapped out the RNG possibilities for anything that could happen along the way here, and that's why I'm able to do this section this way. Before it was known that this was possible, I would just pick up the Staff of Rain and then walk down south, having to endure a bunch of battles along the way, running from them, taking extra time. We don't have to do that anymore. So again, this is another section where donations could be read. I'm just walking down south to get the Rainbow Drop. Same thing here, I'm stopping a little longer just so that I don't have any encounters in the hills that I have to dodge. And now we're going to employ the same idea here. After we get the Rainbow Drop, we're going to go back outside and do another manipulation and try and get Erdrick's Sword. Okay, and we're going to run from this one as well. And we're on track. Gonna stop here. And again, because the same thing is happening during this section, there could be some blank space for donations to be read here as well. What's going to happen is we've got all our key items, so we can get access to Sharlock, the final castle, and that's where we're headed right now. Menu very carefully to get the rainbow drop in a controlled fashion. Then we're going to stop here, and 2 beats here. We're going to stop for 5 beats here, and 2 beats here, and we're already in the final castle. Less than 21 minutes in. Only 1 stop on this floor. Again, we've got a text box to clear when we reveal the staircase behind the throne, so we have to do another very specific manipulation to keep ourselves on track. Alright. So we have to do this in the dark. Almost there. And we've got the sword. I was trying to avoid getting an axe knight, but I found one. Now this is an interesting possibility, which is something I did want to talk about. It's just another example of one of the things that can potentially go wrong, but it's not the end of the world. When you get put to sleep and you're killed, the game forgets to clear the sleep flag. So right now the game thinks I'm still asleep, and this would change our RNG checksum. Now in order to clear that sleep flag, we have to get into another battle and run away from it. So that's what we're doing here. So as soon as I run, the sleep flag is clear, and we go back inside and save and reset. So in a speedrun, this would kill our time having to walk outside and walk back in and save and reset. But in the context of a marathon, it's totally safe. It's only going to cost us probably less than a minute. No problem. So now we're on the final section. Go down. We've got the right frame. Now here, the NPC is going to get out of my way, so we just walk straight down. By the way, we don't actually need to get Erdrick's Sword to beat the game. The reason we get it, in fact, even the Taz for this game gets it, and the reason is because it helps us kill the first form of the Dragon Lord much faster. Without it, we'd only be doing 1 damage per attack, and that would take a long time, because the first form has a minimum of 75 HP, a maximum of 100. With Erdrick's Sword, we can do up to 11. And it turns out to be faster to actually get the sword than to forget about it. Now, I didn't mention before, but basically whenever I'm in the dark, because I have to rely only on audio cues, I'm going to need to stop talking for that section and just be silent. So I'm going to have to walk through here once again. And I'll have to be silent for a little over a minute. But the good news is, once I get to the bottom floor, the lights come back on, and it'll be another good section for donations to be read. So here we go into the darkness once more. Two more floors in the dark. We're nearly there. One more. And we're good. So while I'm approaching the Dragon Lord, this is another good section for donations to be read. I only have to stop on 4 squares because I got very favorable RNG on this walk. There's even time during the first form of the Dragon Lord where more donations can be read. Because it's pretty straightforward, I'm just using command buffers and arrow buffers to attack for as much damage as I can do. Basically a lot of 10s, some 9s, some 11s. And I'm also manipulating the RNG so that he will cast Stop Spell instead of doing damage. And that's all you really need to know about this fight. Once we defeat the first form, we move on to the second form. He will always have 130 HP. We have enough MP to cast Hurt on him 12 times after casting Sleep. And again, we need him to be asleep. So obviously we start with the Sleep. And then we have to cast Hurt 12 times. Now, Hurt only has a 1 in 16 chance of working on the Dragon Lord normally. But we're going to use our manipulations to make sure that it always hits, it always does enough damage, and the Dragon Lord never wakes up. Which would normally be astronomically unlikely. And this is how we managed to defeat the Dragon Lord at level 7. Again, all this has to be perfectly precise. If I mess up one of these manipulations, there is no recovering. It wouldn't kill the run, I'd just have to restart the entire section. And that's it. That's how we turned Dragon Warrior from an over 5-hour-long RPG into an exercise in RNG manipulation. Timer stops on last action, which is going to be when we advance the text to here. A nice sub-32 run. So even with the marathon safe metal slimes, and even with that sleep flag that went wrong, it still only cost us, I don't know, maybe a minute extra, maybe a little bit more. The world record is now 29 minutes 24 seconds, which I did literally just before I made this video. So that's how far Dragon Warrior has advanced over the past 9 months. I made my first RNG manipulation route 9 months ago. It just broke 1 hour, I got it down to 42 minutes, and then I made route improvements over the next few months, and I've gotten it to this point. Chaining everything together seems a little bit dangerous at first, but I've been practicing this game so much over the past few months, I think it's totally safe. And I'm thoroughly comfortable running it in a marathon setting. I've already run it for 2 different marathons online. And I'm very excited by the prospect of bringing this game to a GDQ and showing the world what has happened with this game. It's a very well-known title, one of the first RPGs on the NES. And it's a game and a run that a lot of people have a lot of interest in, especially in the NES community. If there are any additional questions about RNG, I can always answer them after the run is over, off stage or whatever. So yeah, that's Dragon Warrior 1. Thank you all very much for watching.